Another broken plate, another called off date. We never seem to get it right. Another heart attack, words that we can't take back.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm joined by gorgeous Faith, who's going to be my model, and we are going to be testing out the iPhone 12 Pro Max. We are going to be taking some photos, some videos, some portrait modes to see how it performs. I'm going to be taking my photos on my 5D Mark IV as well, so you can kind of see the difference between the DSLR and the phone. Before we get into this video, please make sure to check everybody out, Faith, and everybody's going to be linked in the description below. And before we get into this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, click the little bell button so you don't miss any of my future uploads, and let's get right into it. Psst, you all know what's coming. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in platform that will help you make your dream website, portfolio, or an online shop become a reality. Squarespace has hundreds of beautiful templates, so you will definitely find something that suits you and your personal style. You can build a professional portfolio website in a matter of hours, and you will be able to customize it every step of the way. So it's so you that nobody can deny it's not. As we all know, social media presence is power, and with Squarespace, you'll be able to auto-post all your content to Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr with proper tags and descriptions. Finally, Squarespace helps you with the marketing. They help you with SEO, as well as some plugins for Instagram stories and so on, as well as share buttons, so your followers can give you some juicy shoutouts on their social media. If that sounds like something you'd like to try, make sure to go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And once you're ready to go, use my code squarespace.com/Anita to receive 10% off your first purchase. This is just a quick disclaimer because I will be comparing some DSLR photos to the iPhone, and I know people will be outraged, but I think from my point of view, I always use my iPhone side by side with my DSLR whenever I shoot, because I do a lot of behind the scenes. And as you guys know, for me, behind the scenes are probably even more important than the final images. So I would like to see how the photos compare, how they look side by side. It's not going to be a major comparison. It's not going to be very technical. This is just me taking photos on both mediums and just seeing how it looks. So whenever I look for locations, I always try and find things in the background that kind of distract, or not distract, but just add to the frame, like the palm trees. Beautiful. First thing that I definitely noticed is, since I upgraded from my 11 Pro to 12 Pro Max, the difference in quality of the phone is actually pretty good. I don't usually upgrade year by year. I usually wait a few years, but this time I just decided that I wanted to switch. My 11 Pro has never really worked properly, which is kind of annoying. It had its issues with freezing and so on. With the 12 Pro Max, it works so fast. It loads really, really fast. Now when I compare it, I still have my 11 Pro. It just seems so slow and so small. And the quality of the image is just not as good as on the 12 Pro. So I definitely enjoy that phone in that sense. Well, that's very blurry. So blurry.
It is very blurry.
It is very blurry. It's much better. It's a much better blur than in the other portrait modes. Yeah, so the portrait modes were... Okay, I'll take a few more. So I think the portrait mode has definitely improved since the last iPhone. I had the iPhone 11 Pro, and now I have the 12 Max. And the 12 Max is definitely pretty good with the portrait, I have to say. It looks really good. I think the portrait mode software has definitely upgraded. Looking at the photos that I'm taking on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, I have to say that the software seems to be way more accurate in trying to blur the background. I know it's not real blur, it's only a software blur, but it definitely does better job, especially with small hairs and so on. I think before, whenever you took photos like that, you could see the edges of the hair being kind of blurry and weird, and it just didn't really look right. Well, now it looks way more natural and just consistent. You can also adjust your f-stop, which I think is super useful because you can decide how much blur you want. Obviously, the lower you go with the blur, if you go to 1.4, it's going to look very, very strong and slightly unrealistic, which I don't really love. I think I'm kind of happy with the f4, f5.6. I think it looks quite nice and natural. One thing that I have problems with is the fact that the portrait mode is quite zoomed in. So when I usually take my photos, I like to shoot on the magnification 1. And if I go to 2.5, it's a bit much. So that's the only problem that I have with the portrait mode. That's why I don't shoot on it that much, because I feel like it doesn't give me the distortion that I usually like when I shoot with my wider lens on my Canon. Beautiful. look really nice. Gorgeous. So here is pretty nice because we have this like nice stairs and we have the palm trees in the background like framing us really nicely. Beautiful.
Why you do that? You drop me like who that? And put me through that. But baby, it's useless. I'm living my life. Don't need you in mine. Me feeling just fine. One of a kind.
All the iPhone photos in today's video were edited using my light medium Lightroom mobile pack. I used number 4 because I thought it reflected the colors very well. I made sure everything was adjusted the way I liked and I was good to go. Here you see the before and after. If you do like what you see, make sure to check out my website. It's anitasadowska.eu and you can get your presets there. You can get a little discount code in the description below, so make sure to check it out. The iPhone comes with 3 cameras. There's 13mm, 26mm and 65mm. So it's 0.5, 1 and 2.5 zoom. With the previous iPhone, it was only 2 times the zoom, so there's a bit more close-up kind of look for the third camera. However, I did notice that when I was using the all 3 cameras, the one that gave me the best quality of image was the 26mm, which is like the number 1 zoom, the main camera that you might say in iPhone. And I find that when I was shooting close-up, especially when I was shooting the 2.5 zoom, the quality of image was going down a tiny bit. It looked a bit compressed and I wasn't a huge fan. However, when I was shooting in portrait mode, which is still kind of zoomed up, I didn't have the same problem. So I'm not sure what the issue is. It could be something to do with the compression and with how the images kind of act. As I said, I don't have the Pro RAW yet, so I can't really test it out.
Won't keep you safe. Time that I'll be okay. Oh, don't play that game.
Always think of you when spring comes.
Okay, so we'll take some backlit photos first on the iPhone to see how it works. I wouldn't be expecting too much, to be honest. Let's try and see what the exposure is like. And then let's turn this way. That's the way. Beautiful. So as you see, obviously the exposure when it's dark sunlight is way easier and nicer, but that's just normal. Beautiful. So as you see, the face focus is pretty good as well. It keeps following the model wherever she moves. One thing that I definitely noticed when I shot with the 11 Pro last year and when I'm shooting with the 12 Pro Max now is how the camera handles different light scenarios. And I feel like when the light is beneficial to you, when it's direct sunlight, the camera performs absolutely great. The photo is very well exposed. You know, you have a lot of automatic settings, but it works really, really well because you pretty much have to do nothing. The camera does everything for you, which I think is pretty impressive. Obviously, when I'm shooting with my 5D Mark IV, I'm shooting on manual. I set up all my settings myself. But if I had no clue about photography and I didn't know what to do, I could just point my camera and it would basically do all the work for me on my iPhone, which I think is pretty great. However, saying that, I feel like a lot of the time when you shoot backlit, the photos don't look as great as they would on a DSLR. And the reason is that with DSLRs, because I shoot RAW, I can push my files much further and I can still bring them back when it comes to exposure and highlights and shadows, and I won't be cropping anything. While because here the camera, you know, the iPhone camera kind of decides for you, you have way less control over the settings. It's not the end of the world. I think it still performs pretty well backlit. I think the photos were actually better than I expected because usually they can be very gray and not very, crisp. but this time it was relatively okay. It still performs way better in direct sunlight for sure, and it handles the highlights and shadows pretty nice, I have to say. I think it's actually better than the DSLR almost, but it's just something you have to keep in mind, that you do have less control over your final image, and because it's a bit more compressed, much more compressed than a DSLR or a proper camera, you will have much less room to wiggle in terms of fixing the images afterwards. The iPhone 12 Pro Max offers 4K at 60 frames per second, which I think is pretty cool. I think it will give you really good quality of footage. I only shot on 1080 at 60 frames per second. I always shoot at 60 frames per second because then I can still slow it down and make the footage look really nice, which I think is good. But I think overall the stabilization in the footage and how the camera handles the footage as well is really good. The colors straight out of camera are really accurate and really beautiful, and I really enjoy using it. I am looking forward to see what the Apple Pro RAW is going to be like. I don't have it in my settings yet, so I couldn't enable it and test it out, but it is going to be very interesting to see if the photo quality improves drastically and how much more control you have over the settings and so on. But overall, I have to say I am really enjoying the phone, how it handles everything. It's not overheating, it's pretty fast, pretty efficient, and I am very excited to create some more cool behind the scenes for Instagram for it. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Faith, for being my model. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video about the iPhone and just the behind the scenes in general. Before we sign off, make sure to check Faith out. She's going to be linked in the description below. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.
Shawty, don't play that game. I know my place. Shawty, I know my. Got a lot to do. I got a lot to do. I got a lot to do. At the crack of dawn in the dark of night, what I got to do? I'ma make it loud. How I made you scream like a cockatoo. Turn the pussy wet by the shoulder rest. What the cockatoo? What you expect? How I forget these thoughts of you. Don't need no reps. I'm in the jet. Gon' fly the coop. Fly the coop. Shawty, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe. Time that I'll be okay. Oh, don't play that game. Shawty, don't play that game. I won't keep you safe.